Is the audio going?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Mine's closing this stuff real quick. Well, good morning. Welcome to our open enrollment 2017. I can't believe we're back here again. It's been a whole year, and we're getting to start all over again. I appreciate you guys being here. In this meeting, we're going to talk about our medical plans. You know, as you guys know, we have an hourly medical plan and a salary corporate medical plan. So we're going to be discussing both of those since it applies to both of them apply to different people in this room. We do have a GoToWebinar going on, and so there are going to be people listening in, obviously. But so open enrollment this year goes April 3rd, which is today, through Friday a week. So you've got 2 full weeks to go through the online enrollment system. One of the big things this year that we're going to be changing is that everything's electronic. So you see you don't have packets in your hand. No one has received packets at the job site. Everything's electronic. You should have received an email this morning. If you checked your inbox, or if you have a personal email, just make sure you go in there and check it. It gives you all the instructions you need to know. It gives you the website you're going to go to. It gives you your username and your password, so you don't have to try to remember anything. Just go to that. It also gives you links to our benefits, employee benefits guides. If you remember, we had those big color books last year, the last few years. We're doing that electronically. It's the exact same thing. You're just going to click on a link instead of holding it in your hand. And I just walk through the pages. I do encourage everyone, make sure you go look at those links, because that gives you everything you need to know about all the benefits, okay? So if you have questions on the medical, dental, whatever, obviously you'll get to hear some of that today, but the link to the booklet is your main resource for looking at your benefits. You're going to click on the link that belongs to your particular medical plan, okay? So our hourly employees who've been with us for less than 5 years, you're going to click on the Ternian link, and this is all in the email, but I'm just kind of refreshing you. Ternian is our new medical plan for our hourly employees. It replaces Century Healthcare. So if you had Century before, you're going to be looking at the Ternian guide. And Baba is going to walk through that with us here in a few minutes when we get to that slide. The other link is going to say BlueCross Blue Shield, and that is for our salaried employees or any hourly employees that have been here for longer than 5 years, continuous service. The BlueCross Blue Shield is for them. Ternian is for our hourly employees. You're going to click on whichever link belongs to you, and that's what will pull up your employee benefits guide. So everything's online. Make sure you check your email. If you don't see it in your email, I got mine around 3-something this morning. I did not send that out. That was automated, so I was not up at 3 sending you an email. But check that. If you don't see it in your inbox, check your junk box, okay? And if you don't see it there, let me know, and we'll figure out a way to get it sent out to you. Hopefully everybody's email's working, and we've got the right one. We haven't gotten anything returned, so let me know if you haven't seen that email. I'll move forward here. Here we go. So the biggest thing, enrollment is mandatory because we have these changes, and we have changes in some of our other plans as well. Everybody has to go to the website to enroll, okay? There's not an option of saying, well, if I don't do anything, will it just carry over to May this year? It will not, because we're changing plans. We can't choose the plan for you. So make sure you click on those links and go to the website. You've got 2 weeks to get that done. Otherwise, you will not have benefits May 1, okay? And I don't want anybody to be in that situation unless you want to be. I want you to have the benefits that you want. So May 1 is your new date. If you want benefits, you have to go online. We talked about the medical plan changes, BlueCross Blue Shield for the salaried and long-term hourly employees. Ternian is for our hourly employees. It's kind of a funny name. So, and the supplemental plan changes, we'll talk about that in a little bit as well, where all of our Allstate plans used to be with Allstate, they're moving to Guardian. If you remember, Guardian has been our dental and our vision carriers and short-term, long-term disability. Those are going to stay with Guardian. And then our critical illness, term life, cancer, and accident are all moving to Guardian. So those are some other changes. Our Legal Shield and ID Shield plans, we'll get some, they're going to be, well, they're separate. Sherry's going to talk a little bit more about that in a little bit. but they're richer benefits as well. So if you want to keep those, you'll want to go online and elect those plans. All right, just real quick, effective dates. Most of you guys know this already. You have to be a full-time employee, which means more than 30 hours a week, and your benefits are effective first in the month following 60 days of employment. Most of you guys are been here long, so this is just a refresher for you. Your dependents, it can be your legal spouse or domestic partner. If you do have a domestic partner, there's a separate form we need you to turn in. It's an affidavit. You'll turn that in. Your children under age 26 or a dependent child who is dependent on you for a support because of physical or mental handicap. Now, as a reminder, RECON does have a working spouse provision. You guys have seen this several years, which means if you're married and you want your spouse on your medical plan, they cannot have their own access to a medical plan through their own employer. Okay, if your spouse works and they are offered another medical plan through their employer, even if they don't elect it, they cannot be on RECON's plan. So where the form comes in, and you're going to see a link on the medical plan page when you're enrolling, at the bottom it'll say working spouse form. So if your spouse qualifies to be on RECON's plan because they don't work or they're part-time or their employer doesn't offer them medical coverage, then you're going to have to print off that form and return it to me to show that they're eligible to be on RECON's plan. So that's an ongoing thing we've had for several years, but just a reminder. All right, we're just going to step right into the medical plans. Brian is our BlueCross Blue Shield representative with us today. So he's going to walk through those. I know some of you guys, this doesn't apply to you, but if you'll just kind of hang with us real tight, and we'll go through the BlueCross Blue Shield and then get to the Ternian plan.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys having me out here again. My name is Brian Cunningham. I'm with Blue Cross. Please don't hesitate to ask any questions if anything comes up. Wants us to be as interactive as possible. It'll be pretty brief. It's pretty straightforward. You have two options on the Blue Cross platform. Your first option is a high deductible health plan with an HSA. It's a little different than the copay plan that we'll talk about in a little bit because there are no copays on this. Okay, you essentially are responsible for 100% of all the medical and pharmacy costs until you hit that deductible. That deductible is $3,000 for an individual and $6,000 for a family. So again, just what it sounds like. Every penny of medical or pharmacy expense comes out of your pocket until you hit that $3,000 amount. Okay, so when you go to the doctor, if you're used to paying a copay, a $25 whatever copay, you're not going to do that on this plan. You're going to pay for whatever the cost of that visit is until you hit the deductible. Once you hit that deductible, the coinsurance takes over. Okay, that coinsurance is 80/20. So you'll pay 20%. The plan picks up the 80% until you hit the out-of-pocket maximum, which is $5,950 for an individual and $11,900 for a family member, for an entire family. Okay, so the worst-case scenario for an individual on this plan is $5,950 out of your pocket for the calendar year. This plan is not going to be right for everybody. There are some advantages and disadvantages to it. It just depends on your situation. I know this plan is very popular among younger people who maybe don't use the doctor as much. They still have that coverage if something catastrophic happens, but I'm assuming I haven't seen the deductions from your paycheck, but your premiums are generally lower on this plan as well. Okay. Okay. Along with it, any questions on that plan? Again, it's very straightforward. You're paying for 100% of the expenses until you hit that deductible, and then you pay the 80/20 split. Okay. Along with this plan, you can have an HSA, a health savings account. If you are going to take advantage of the high deductible plan, I'm not sure if it's mandatory, but you absolutely should take advantage of the HSA. There's no point in having the high deductible health plan if you're not going to also have the HSA. An HSA is exactly what it sounds like. It's a health savings account. It works just like a regular bank account. Okay? You take it with you. It doesn't expire at the end of the year. If you leave the company, it's still your money that you're taking with you. It honestly does work just like a normal bank account. However, you can only use the funds for medical expenses. You can put money into that account pre-tax. So again, that $5,950, you you can save yourself some money by using pre-tax dollars to pay for some of that you use from your HSA. Does that make sense, people? RECON contributes $250 per quarter to the bank account. So again, if you're there for 4 years, that's $1,000. So really, you're starting to look at this, that max out of pocket is now dropping down to $4,950 because you're getting $1,000 from the company. Okay, this $3,400 limit does include the $1,000, correct? That RECON is contributing. So you could contribute $2,400 on your own. So again, if you know you're going to have these expenses and you know that you're going to pay this X amount of dollars, you might as well pay for it pre-tax. Save yourself at least the money on taxes, right? Any questions on that? And again, I just want to reemphasize once again, this is your money, okay? This is just like a regular bank account. Only you have access to it. You take it with you if you leave. You take it with you if you don't use it this year. It stays with you, and you can continue to build it up and build it up and build it up. Once you get a certain amount of money in that account, you can actually begin to use that money to invest it. So it can be kind of some people use it as a retirement if you do it for long enough. But really, the benefit of it is that you're using you have this money set aside for health expenses. Okay.
Can I interject?
Absolutely.
The nice thing about it too is, I know Brian was talking about some of the younger people that don't go to the doctor that much or whatever, but just want to have something there for just in case. That works great too for them. It also works for families that aren't necessarily as lucky health-wise, and if you do have a lot of things going on, if you stop and think about it, if your maximum out-of-pocket on this is the $59.50, everything after that is paid at 100%. So if you've got family members that have some things going on, you might want to think about that. How much do you normally spend over the course of a year on health care for them?
And yeah, so I apologize, I didn't know this, I just saw the note at the bottom, but 100% of the premium is paid for from the employee portion. So nothing's coming out of your paycheck, they're basically giving you money to be on this plan. Works just a little different, so I want to make sure that everybody's aware of how it works. But again, it's not going to be right for everybody, but you really should sit down and look over what your medical expenses are, because it could be pretty beneficial to you. Any other questions on that?
So we getting new cards?
Yes, right.
Okay,
Okay, so this is the PPO plan. This is the one that is your traditional copay plan. Okay, you still have a deductible, you still have an out-of-pocket maximum. However, the difference here is you don't have to hit your deductible to start the copays, right? So you go to the doctor's office on day one and you haven't had any other medical expenses prior to that, you're still going to just pay that $25 copay for a doctor's visit. You're going to pay $35 for an urgent care visit. You're going to pay $250 for an ER, and then you can see your pharmacy copays down there, $20, $40, $60 for retail, and $50, $100, $150 for mail order. Okay, so you do have the deductible of $1,500, so all of your expenses that go towards that deductible. Once you hit your deductible, the co-insurance takes over for that. So anything that's not an office visit, an urgent care visit, an ER, you're gonna pay until you hit your deductible, and then at which point the 80/20 takes over. So really, the main difference is between this and the HSA account or HSA plan is that, these office visits are just covered at a copay before your deductible, whereas on the HSA you have to pay 100% of all the expenses until you hit your deductible. Does that make sense to everybody? One thing I want to point out on the pharmacy too is the mail order. You can see the mail order is for a 90-day supply as opposed to the retail that's a 30-day supply, right? Okay, so your mail order, you're actually getting a discount because it's $20, $40, $50 for a 90-day supply as opposed to getting 3 30-day supplies at $60. Okay, same with the preferred brand and non-preferred. Mail order is super convenient. More and more people are starting to take advantage of it, but it's just really nice to have that mail order, your prescription show up. You don't have to go to the pharmacy to pick it up. You don't have to do all that. It's mailed to you, and you save yourself some money doing it as well. Plus the 90-day prescriptions, you don't have to do it quite as long, or quite as often, excuse me.
The mail order is more for maintenance type drugs.
Correct. For people, not just for a one-off prescription that you're getting from your doctor, an antibiotic. If you have a drug that you're continuing to take, and you know you're going to continue to take it regularly, that's where you get the most advantage. And most of your doctors should be familiar of setting up or transferring your prescription to the mail order. If they're not, we have resources available on our website too that have the order form or tell you who you can call to do that.
Very good.
Any other questions? Okay. All right, so things to remember before the plan starts. Please try to go pick up your prescription sometime this month, closer to the end of this month. The only reason we say that, we don't want somebody who, there's something happening in the system, the benefits, whatever, for whatever reason, didn't get set up correctly on the first, and then you need your prescription right then on the first, and you don't have access to it, we're scrambling. We don't anticipate that happening, but it's just really a good idea, advisable to go fill any prescriptions that you can before the end of the month, before the new benefits take over. Okay? We will receive a file from UHC, that's with your currently, with your deductible and your out-of-pocket accumulations that you've had year to date. Okay? It's going to take us some time and some manual process to load that. So if you've already hit your deductible, when you try to go use something after May 1st, there's a possibility that they're going to say, hey, we don't have any you haven't hit any of your deductible yet. We're working on it. If you're in that situation, we can take your most recent explanation of benefits from UHC and load yours individually. Okay? But it does take some time. There is some manual work that goes into that.
So I'd like to add that if you are on the United Healthcare Plan now, as you get close to the end of the month, log into the United Healthcare website and pull down the last explanation of benefits that you have that will have the recording of how much of your deductible and co-insurance, if there's any, that has been satisfied. Because that's what he's talking about. He can use that to verify the fact, or they can use that to verify the fact that you've satisfied that.
Yeah, if you know you have some big procedure coming up during the first 2 or 3 weeks of May, that's going to be probably the best idea for you all to do. Okay, we'll load it as soon as we can. The problem is we can't request it too early from UHC, otherwise we're just going to have to request another one anyway for anything that was met after we received that. So that's why we really like to wait until after the first of the month. Okay, once you get your ID cards from Blue Cross, you're going to have an ID number on there. You can use that ID number to register for Blue Access for members. That's our online portal. Everything that you're ever going to need is right there on that portal. If you lose your ID card, you can print a temporary ID card or request a new ID card from there. You can pull your explanation of benefits. You can use the provider finder to find in-network providers, to use our cost estimator so you know how much something is going to cost you based on the plan that you're on before you go into it, depending on where you go. There is educational courses, smoking cessation, diabetes management, things like that that you can take advantage of on Blue Access for members. Okay. We also have an app. Okay, it's BCBS TX if you search for it in your app store. And you can download that, and you basically do everything that you can on the website from that. The best thing about the app too is I have an electronic ID card that you can use through the app, so you don't have to have your plastic card. You just use the one on your phone. It's super convenient, especially if you're traveling or you lose your ID card. You don't have to wait for a new one to come in the mail. You can have it right there on your phone. Okay. So just like before, please try to stay in network with Blue Cross. That's probably, we have the broadest network of any of the carriers. You shouldn't have any trouble finding an in-network provider. It saves you money. It saves the plan money. It saves everybody a lot of time and hassle. So try to use those in-network providers. Again, use the provider finder on Blue Access for members. It's really nice. You can cost compare too. So if you're on the HSA plan and this is all money coming out of your pocket, when you need an MRI, it's probably a good idea because we can see MRIs cost $3,000 at one place and cost $700 at another place. They're doing the same procedure. Just depending on where you go, you can see that kind of cost spread. If that's money coming out of your pocket, the idea behind the HSA is to make it a little more consumer driven. Okay, if you're going to buy a TV, you probably should shop a little bit as opposed to just going wherever and picking it up. That's the way that's the direction that healthcare is going. Okay. All right. Any questions on the Blue Cross stuff?
I'm going to throw another thing in there.
Sure.
You were talking about stuff on the phone. One of the things that I push the most is getting that provider finder stuff on your phone. If anybody's in here that has kids and you're traveling all over the city playing soccer games, you don't know where, and heaven forbid, somebody has a broken ankle, whatever, and you're on the opposite side of town, where's the nearest emergency room or urgent care? You want to have that on your phone. You're going to take your phone, hook it up to that, hand it to the person in the passenger seat while you're driving, and look up where is the nearest. What do you want to do if you're looking for, say, a broken leg or a broken ankle? Do you want to go to the emergency room or do you want to go to urgent care? If you think about it, when you look at the copays, the copay for an urgent care is cheaper. The amount to go to an urgent care, even if you're on the HSA plan, it's cheaper to go to an urgent care than it is to go to an emergency room.
It's not even close, actually. It's not even in the same stratosphere. And with that emergency room copay, you pay that copay, then you're also going to get a bill from probably from the ER doctor. Okay, so that's for the facility. That copay is for the facility. So that's great. And then you're going to see an ER doctor. Guess what? ER doctors don't usually contract with networks, so it's going to be out of network. So then you're going to pay for that. You're going to pay the out of network charge. You're going to pay for whatever the allowable amount is. Then the doctor's probably going to balance bill you too. It just turns into a huge mess when you go to the ER. Please use it for true emergencies. If it's true emergencies, then obviously use the ER. Okay. We have a nurse line, 24/7 nurse line. That's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can call and talk to an RN. So if you're not sure if you need to go to the ER, if you're on the fence about it, call that number, even if it's 3 o'clock in the morning. Say, yeah, you need to go. Otherwise, no, go to the urgent care center when it wakes up or when it opens. Okay. ER is just the least cost-effective and least time-efficient way to get care. Okay.
Well, and I usually tell people too, if you do go to the emergency room and you are not having a true life-threatening emergency or whatever, everybody else that is in that emergency room that is, yeah, they're all going to cut in front of you, and you're going to be sitting there for hours thinking, why are all these people? They don't go by first come, first serve. It's who needs to be seen first. So while you're sitting there in the emergency room with all those other people that are coughing and hacking, if you weren't sick and your child was, well, now you're going to be sick too. So just a little something to think about. It's your time and it's your money. Think about how you want to use both of them.
All right, any other questions on Blue Cross? A couple things I want to touch on real quick. I think Brian mentioned, but especially for RECON employees that have been on the United Healthcare Plan, if you remember, we lost our out-of-network benefits last year, trying to cost save and all of that kind of thing. Moving to Blue Cross not only helped us save some money in our renewal process, which, you hopefully you've seen the email that Dawn sent out last week talking about the increase in prices and whatnot, why we're switching to Blue Cross. There was kind of a walkthrough of why we did all of that. But not only did it save us in the increase of cost, instead of 24%, we're increasing 10%, which is still a lot. So RECON has absorbed most of that cost for us. But it also allowed us to get out-of-network benefits back in place. So the way that works is you can do in-network, you can do out-of-network. In-work is obviously going to be a better option for you because they're contracted to stay inside of a certain rate for you. If you go out-of-network, you'll have to pay the difference, and your deductibles don't go together, okay? So you're going to have to meet a separate in-network and a separate out-of-network deductible and out-of-pocket. So if you end up doing both, they're going to accumulate separately, so keep that in mind. However, if you do need out-of-network, now we have it, so that's a great deal and a great option that we've been able to add back in. I mentioned the cost. There was an increase. You'll see those rates. You can see them either in the employee benefits guide. You'll see the actual weekly rates, what the total cost is, what RECON pays, and what your cost is. And you'll see that when you're going through the enrollment process, you'll see your options for medical plan and what it costs you. You'll add dependents, and you'll see the rate change, that kind of thing. But RECON has absorbed most of that 10%. the rate increase to us as employees is about a 2% increase. And RECON has also, helping with that rate increase, has absorbed additional, and this is on the BlueCross Blue Shield plan only, guys, has absorbed 15% of your dependent costs if you add dependents. Used to be RECON didn't cover any dependent costs at all. So this plan is much more expensive than the Ternian plan is, and so RECON's trying to offset that increase for each one of us, which is a huge deal. We're very, very grateful that they've worked that out for us. So in and out of network, and as I mentioned, make sure you do print off your EOB from United Healthcare at the end of April so that you have that information in place. All right, we're going to move on to Ternian, which is, oh yes, go ahead.
Okay, I just got last week I just made my 5 years. So am I qualified for Blue Cross?
Actually, we go along with the PTO, how the PTO is scheduled, and they calculate for the prior year. So if you had met that last year, then you would be eligible for the plan this year. So next year, you will certainly be eligible for this type plan. That's a great question. Thank you for asking that. So anyone who achieved 5 full consecutive years, or if you've already had that, as of last year, as of December 31st, then you'll be eligible for the BlueCross Blue Shield plan. You should have gotten an email from me if you're newly eligible for that plan, or if you know you've been eligible before, then you will continue to be eligible. Now, once you select the higher plan, I think John's an example of this. He has been with us for a very long time, more than 5 years, anyways. And so at one point, he elected the higher plan. Okay, so he's on the United Healthcare plan right now. On his enrollment, he is only going to see United Healthcare because once you elect the higher plan, you have to stay on that plan. They don't allow us to go back to the limited plan. Okay, so if you're in the situation where you will see all 3 plans because you're eligible for the 2 Blue Cross that we talked about and the Ternian that we're about to talk about, you're going to see 3 plans. That means you're eligible. If you don't see 3 plans, then you know you haven't quite reached those 5 years yet. So if you see the 3 plans, you can choose any of them you want. If you choose a higher plan, you're going to stay only eligible for the higher plan each enrollment period. If you choose the Ternian plan and you're eligible for the United Healthcare plan, and you choose the Ternian plan, you'll have that through the end of this plan year, through April. Next enrollment, you'll be able to choose again between any of the plans we offer. You won't lose your eligibility for the higher plan if you don't choose it now, of course, unless you leave us and then come back and break your 5-year consecutive. That's the way that you would lose that opportunity. Does that make sense? Okay. All right, any other questions real quick on this medical plan? We'll move to Ternian. Bubba will walk us to the new Ternian plan.
Awesome. Thanks, Troy. Good morning. My name is Bubba Spraggins. I'm with Ternian Insurance Group, and I appreciate y'all having me today. Despite the suit, I'm a pretty important guy named Bubba, so if you got questions while we're doing this, just call them out, and we'll get through this. So there's been some really good changes coming off of Century Healthcare and onto Ternian, and I'm going to go through some of the changes in a couple of minutes. But first, I want to talk about what's staying the same. Okay. There's really 2 parts to the plan in these limited benefit plans, and the first one is where it says MEC or MEC. If you hear me say MEC, it stands for Minimum Essential Coverage. Those benefits are mandated by the Affordable Care Act. Okay? They are a set of benefits. It's your preventive and wellness stuff that says it has to be paid at 100%. That's part of Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. Okay? Those are staying the same. So your preventive care, you're going for your well exam, if you've got kids and you're taking them to get their immunizations, your flu shots, all those types of things will be paid at 100%. You shouldn't have to pay out of pocket for any of those. However, have to see an in-network doctor to get those benefits. So your preventive and wellness benefits have to be at an in-network facility, in-network doctor, okay? And that is a little bit of a change from the in-network, not a change. That was the same as you had with Century Healthcare. The network has changed a little bit. Century has a network. We work with First Health. That's going to be your network now, okay? There's going to be a crazy amount of overlap in the doctors that are on those that are in those networks, but there may be some that are not in First Health that were in the other one, and vice versa. there'll be some new ones you have availability to. Just like Brian said about Blue Cross Network, you shouldn't have any problem finding a doctor in network facility. There's tens of thousands of them in network just in the Houston area, and I know all of our outlying areas too. We did a check network on where RECON is everywhere else, so we should be in really good shape there. So that's the MEC piece. Really doesn't change any. That's you're going to see your doctor for a wellness exam. Going to get your if you're my age or older, and you start those fun well man exams that you get to do every year now. So, but those should be covered at 100%. Okay, so that doesn't change. What is changing, that the other part of the plan, and that's when you go in to see a doctor for anything outside of wellness, or when you have to go to the hospital. There's some really, really good changes to this plan now. I'll start with hospitalization. So let's say you are not feeling right, you go to the doctor. Let's say you go to the urgent care facility and they say, oh, you're having, your heart rate's up, blood pressure's through the roof, we need to send you to the hospital. They send you to the hospital, they admit you. Under your current plan that runs to the end of this month, you would get $300 a day. Once you got admitted in the first day, you would get $300, and you get $300 a day for additional days that you're in the hospital. Under our plan, starting on May 1st, your first day of hospitalization is $1,000, so it's $700 more. Additional days, $500. Okay, so you get $200 more on additional days after that. That's a big benefit. We looked at at the claims for the last couple of years for everyone that was on the limited plan, and the average hospital stay was well under 3 days. It was like 2. I think that of the total number of hospital stays, we had a few that were a couple of days, and one that was maybe 2 or 3 or 4 days. And the rest of them were all one night stays in the hospital. Well, for those of you that did come into play, you're going to get $700 more right off the bat. That's a big increase in benefit. Okay? If you guys have questions, just call them out. The second big benefit, and this is going to be sort of your everyday type of benefit, is when you have to go see the doctor or go to an urgent care facility outside of your wellness exam. Your current plan pays $70 towards that visit, and you get 6 of them a year. That's bumping up to $75, and you get 10. Okay, so now you've got 10 visits, doctor's visits a year at $75 a piece. And the way that works is those benefits outside of wellness, you do not have to go in network. However, going in network will stretch those dollars way further. If I could tell you that it was in network only, I would, because it just makes the dollars work that much better. I'll give you an example. So my kid's pediatrician, I know what their office exam or office cost is. If you go see them for a regular visit, non-wellness, it's $92.13. I know that because for 7 years I've been on an HSA plan, and I know what I know exactly what their cost is out of pocket, right, to me. So $92.13. Let's say I'm on this plan, and I'm taking and I've got my kids on this, and I'm taking them to see the doctor, and that's $92. I'm going to get $75 back for that visit. It's a signable benefit, so you don't even have to file a claim or anything. You give them the card, they apply the $75 to the $92, and you walk out of there paying less than $20 copay, okay, for that doctor visit. That's it, and you get 10 of those a year on top of 100% for your wellness exams and for benefit work, okay? So that's a good additional benefit. You see where it says $10 doctor visit prepay costs? The way that works is if you go to an in-network doctor, you're going to pay $10 up front, and that gets you essentially into the appointment. That gets you access, that's a network access fee. But the $10 comes off of that comes off of the cost. So if it was that same doctor, it was $92.13. I paid my $10 up front, drops it down to $82.13, and then the $75 applies. So I paid 10 up front, and I paid $7.13 when I left the office, for a total of $17.13. I just like to tell everyone that and why we want it on there, so you understand why they're asking you for $10 if you go to the doctor. It's going to apply towards the total cost of the visit, so you're not out any extra dollars. But that's your network. That's how you're getting access to the network. Okay. It's already covered the inpatient hospital stay. The other one, I forgot about this. I'm so sorry about this. On the inpatient hospital stays, if you go into intensive care, the number's the same, $600. You were getting that, but before I think it was only up to 30 days, and now it's up to 60 days. So it's a longer benefit. So if you're in intensive care, you get $600 additional a day for 60 days. Anesthesia is the same. Outpatient X-ray lab work varies. It's going to be a little bit different than what you saw before. So what you had before was mostly just X-rays and lab work were covered. There's going to be some additional benefits in there that are covered, like PET scans and CAT scans. Those CT scans, those are going to be covered now at I think $125. You'll get a reimbursement amount, or apply that amount towards the scan, towards the cost of it. But that wasn't covered before, so it's a nice additional benefit. And then there's one other benefit that I will cover, and I know this is a small amount when you talk about critical illness coverage, but it's part of what we do. And I know you guys are going to talk about some voluntary options that you want to listen to. So part of the benefits with Ternian is when you're on this plan, you get a $5,000 critical illness policy included with your medical. What that means is you have a heart attack, by definition in the policy, you get cancer, you have renal failure, you have a stroke, and there's 2 or 3 other things that are covered. You're going to get a lump sum benefit of $5,000. So let's say if you haven't ever had a heart attack before, and the reason I'm saying that is because the way that works is if you've had one before, you won't get that benefit. It's first occurrence, okay, first ever occurrence. But if you have a heart attack and you're in the hospital, doctor says you've had a heart attack, you're going to file that claim. We're going to get some information from your physician to verify that it was a heart attack, and once that's verified and approved, you're going to get a check from us for $5,000. Okay, it's going to help cover the costs related to that heart attack. It's not a huge amount on critical illness. I know you guys have some options for other things that are really going to help them out. So, but it is an additional benefit that you didn't have before, and that's nice to help cover those out-of-pocket costs that result from having a heart attack, cancer, or stroke. I think that's it on mine. You guys have any other questions, or any questions at all?
There'll be a quiz at the end.
What is this here?
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
And one of the things I think Bubba mentioned, and sorry if I was distracted, that there is no rate increase. You can see it here in red. So that's going to stay the same across the board, which is great. If you've been here longer than a year with RECON, then RECON pays 100% of your employee premium. Up to that, then you pay every cost, your employee and your premium and your dependent costs. And the way that works is, as long as you're enrolled in the plan at your 1-year anniversary, then at your 1-year anniversary paycheck date, you will see your employee premium drop off of that. You don't have to remind us. You don't have to, make sure that the system remembers. Thankfully, we've got computers to do that these days. And so you will no longer pay. Now, it doesn't mean that you can enroll at your 1-year anniversary, because unfortunately that's not what the IRS allows us to do. But if you're on the plan and you reach your anniversary, then you will no longer have to pay your employee premium rate. Questions? Good?
Yeah. Look at the bottom where it says term life and critical illness and accident. It's all going to stay the same?
Yes.
I got that on the other plan, but that's not that. It's going to stay the same.
Well, this is part of your medical plan that's
Yeah.
included for free, right? But you mean you had that on
Yeah, I've already got
the
on the other one.
Yeah, the critical illness is extra. The term life, accident, and AD&D benefits all stay the same.
Okay, I got short term.
Yep.
All right. Okay. So we're going to move to our guardian plans, our dental plans. At first, Jose's going to walk us through those.
Good morning, I'm Jose Guerrero with Guardian. We've got a couple of dental plans here. The first one is the DHMO plan. This is a no copay plan. I'm sorry, it's a copay plan, but there's like no out-of-pocket limits. So if you're going to go in a DHMO network as opposed to a PPO, this is the one that if you have a lot of dental work that's required. and you're looking at maximums based on a PPO plan, the DHMO plan may sure be better for that reasoning because it's unlimited as far as the treatments go. There's a copay associated with all the different types of services, and some services don't require copay. There is orthodontic benefits for the adult and for the children. Okay, so if you're interested in braces as an employee, then you know the benefits are available to you. Okay, and you go on searching a provider, you can download the app. Is the Guardian Anytime. You can go to the website, or you can also excuse me. You can also download the app, and you can search providers by zip code. Okay, so just keep in mind if you're looking at something. This is what if I need quite a bit of work done, and just say $2,000 is not enough for me for that period. I need more. Then, like I said, the DHMO plan may work better for you. Okay, although PPO networks are a lot bigger, DHMOs are a lot smaller, but there are good providers in the network. You can actually just go in, you can just search them, and find a provider you can use under the DHMO plan.
Now, this is Texas residents only.
This is Texas residents only.
So if you live outside of Texas, if your home state is not Texas, you will not be able to elect this plan. You won't even see it in your enrollment process. That's because the networks are in Texas. So you have to be a Texas resident to have access to it. And also, if you're a Texas resident and you choose this plan, you are going to have to pick a provider before you can continue going through the enrollment process, because you are selected to go to a particular office, and that's what you're doing. You can't go to one office 1 month and then go to another one. You can't just, kind of randomly choose your own doctor. You can choose your own doctor, but you have to tell Guardian who that is so you can get on that doctor's list. Now, if you don't like that doctor, if you've been there for a couple of months or two, you can change it. You just call Guardian and change that. But you do assign yourself to a particular office when you sign up for this DHMO plan.
And just make sure at the time of the enrollment that you sign up with the provider, because if you don't, you'll have the benefit, but you won't be assigned to a dentist.
Yeah, I think the system won't allow them to continue through the enrollment process unless you actually choose a provider. Okay?
The dentist is here in Texas. You
Yeah,
can't get out-of-state dentist.
I'm sorry?
It's not an out-of-state dentist.
No,
No.
you have to be a Texas resident, and the networks are in Texas. So even if I know we have some guys that live in Louisiana but work in Texas. If you live in Louisiana, you will not have access to the DHMO plan.
And usually, if you're going to change the provider for whatever reason, you're not happy with this one, you want to move to another, they say usually change it by the 10th of the month, so you'll be on the roster for the first of the following month.
Okay. Yeah, very good. I got my dentist card just the other day, and my dentist that I used to use, they're not carrying the insurance no more, but it says Deer Park. Wow, that ain't the one. I mean, why is that on there? That's my, they come on the mail. That's nothing.
Yeah, we can definitely look into that, Grover.
Yeah.
Let's call them and find out.
Yeah, because I never used that dentist. Now, my dentist sent me a letter saying I was there for the first or no, I'm going to carry insurance, which is fine. But I just got this last week, and I'm like, Thursday, and I'm like, man, I didn't.
Yeah, they probably just assigned someone to you if your dentist went out of network.
Might have been, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll look at that. Thanks for bringing that up.
And then you have your low PPO plan. Just to let you know, you have your 3 type services. Your preventative services under the PPO plan is covered at 100%. Your basic services are paid at 80%, but you do satisfy a $50 deductible. That's per individual, up to 3 individuals for the year. So if it's just you on the plan, you go and you have a basic or a major service done, you're going to pay you'll pay the 20% after the $50 deductible. But your preventive type 1 services are covered at 100%. You're going for your cleanings, everything's good, you should not have a copay. Okay. The major services, they're not covered under this plan, and the maximum annual benefit is $1,000. Okay. Now, if you wanted to use a low plan, you're saying, I'd like a little bit more provider opportunities or more options. Like I said, if you think your teeth are in well shape, you just need to maintain your teeth, then this plan may just work well for you. Now you have the high PPO plan. Again, the type 1 services and preventative is covered at 100%. Okay, everybody needs to at least go at least twice a year minimum to at least maintain your teeth. But if you're paying for it, you might as well use it. Type 2 services, again, we also have there's a $50 deductible, and then you end up paying your 20%. It already picks up 80% after that. Your major services are covered at 50%. And the maximum annual benefit on this is $1,000. Okay, and that's when I mentioned $1,000, that's the benefits each person that's covered under that plan. So if it's just you, you have your $1,000 worth of benefits. You have a spouse or a dependent, each of those have their $1,000 worth of benefits.
And that 1,000 is what the company pays for you, okay? So it's not what you pay, but it's what Guardian pays for you. So once Guardian has paid the $1,000 in a calendar year for you, then you will no longer have benefits for the rest of that year. They'll start back over in January. So if you have anything major coming up, be aware that Guardian's only going to pay $1,000, okay? So you might, like I had several crowns I had to get done. I had to space those out between one end of one year and at the beginning of the other to have coverage for those. Does that make sense?
This also has the dental maximum rollover. So if you have a $50 or more expense, if you're going for your preventative services and you don't have an expense, then the rollover amount does not apply. So what it is that if you have a threshold of, I think, if you don't exceed like $600 in services for that year, then $250 will roll over to the next year. So you can start accumulating up to a maximum of 4 years, because you can go to maximum rollover amount of $1,000, so that's $250 per year. Okay, so you start off with 1,000. So you go and you just had say an extraction. You paid $100 for that extraction, and then that's all you did that year. Well, then the calendar year, the new calendar year, you have 1,000 plus 250, and it rolls over 4 years up to 1,000 maximum. And you do have in and out of network benefits, okay? But the best thing to do, stay in network, because as your dollars go a lot further in network. Questions?
All right, vision?
VSP is your vision plan. VSP is one of the largest networks in the United States. You go in, you do a $10 copay. You have an exam, it's your $10 copay. Your contact lens is a $25 copay up to $130 allowance. Your frame allowance is $130 as well, with also a $25 copay. And your standard plastic lens is $25 copay for single, bifocal, and trifocal. Now, any of the specialties on your lenses, you can still get them, but at a discount, above what your copay and what your allowances are in the plan itself. Okay. As I mentioned, you can go to Guardian anytime. It's the website you can go to look at the providers, as well as you can look for the vision, or you go to VSP.com. You can find providers that way. If you don't utilize the technology to look for providers, just when you do contact the providers, make sure that the word you always use is, are you in network? That applies to your dental, and that applies to your vision as well as your medical. Are you in network? Now, if you accept it, they can accept it, it's still, you'd be out of network, okay? As you see there, out of network, it only has these reimbursement amounts that they pay up to those dollar amounts there. So do your best, stay in the network. Like I say, your dollars go a lot further. Utilize an in-network provider. Life insurance. Everybody needs life insurance, right? At least 10, 20,000. Right now, the guarantee issue for the employees up to 150,000. Your spouse can receive up half your benefit if you want to elect to put your wife on the plan, and you can cover your children up to 10,000. But the guarantee issue amount, which means good, we don't have to know about your health situation, whether it's good, whether it's so up to 150,000 as an employee, you can elect to take that amount of life insurance on yourself. Your spouse also, you have to be on the plan to cover your spouse. The guarantee issue on the spouse is 50,000. Okay. Do you have to take the 150,000? No, you can get a reduced amount, but that's the max you can get without us knowing anything about your medical history. Your children, $10,000 in life insurance. You have 1 or 8. You pay the cost of 1, and all 10 are covered. I'm sorry, 8 or 10. But each one has $10,000 worth of life coverage. So if you're active, active family, or whatever the case is, you pay 1, and they all have $10,000 worth of life insurance. Okay, and it is portable, so you can take it with you if you leave. Happen to leave, you can take it, go on a direct billing basis, but you do have access to life insurance. If you don't have any life insurance, like privately, you're paying like an extra policy outside, and all you have is just the life insurance option here, then, you might want to maximize your benefit here, while it's being offered to you through your employer, okay? It is an employee cost, and like I said, it is portable. If you do have something privately, that doesn't mean that you can't get additional life insurance, because all life insurance policies pay. No matter if you got $1 million outside and you want to get another 50 just because you want to get 50, you can do so.
What if I have my kids as my own beneficiary instead of my spouse?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. Beneficiaries are who you assign to receive the benefits.
Yeah.
they prefer that at least, the recommended is at least somebody that's 18 years or older. Okay.
Well, he can get it when he's 18.
So the problem in the state of Texas is that you cannot illegally own any kind of property, including cash, unless you're 18. That if you have money that comes to a minor child, it goes into what's called a guardianship. The judge gets to decide who controls that money.
Yes.
It's an expensive process, so it's better to leave it to a family member and a trust to if you've got a will, get a will and set it up in that trust for the kids for their benefit, because it's just better planning that way.
But you're not required to leave it to, if you're married, I think on the term life insurance, you don't have to leave it to your spouse, is that right? There's some other plans, like a 401k plan, you have to leave it to your spouse, you have your spouse's signature notarized, saying that they understand they're not beneficiary, but in term life, you can assign anyone.
Yes, yeah. As far as I know,
Yeah.
yes, it's voluntary, you can
Just a
sign
little
it.
touches. If you really want to do that.
Video that conversation with your wife.
One thing, let me point out real quick, this is one of those new supplemental plans that we're changing over. We used to have term life with Allstate. We've talked about them for many, many years. We're moving over to Guardian for several reasons, but one of the great reasons, the most exciting reasons, is that we're getting an additional, that guarantee issue that Jose was talking about. That means you don't have to answer any health history questions. You don't have to go through underwriting. For the employee, it's now $150,000. Used to be $100,000, and it was only your first time. You were eligible for the plan, because all of us are eligible for this plan for the first time right now because it's a new carrier. All of us are guarantee issue $150,000, and your spouse is guarantee issue $50,000. Used to be $20,000 with Allstate. So if you're considering term life, this is the best time to do this, because you can get up to $150,000 without any questions asked. And the other great thing about it is Guardian's letting us go all the way to $500,000. You're obviously going to pay more the higher you go, but you do have that opportunity. You will go through underwriting for anything above $150,000. But Allstate used to cap us at $100,000. That's the most the policy would allow us to have. This one allows us up to $500,000. So, and your spouse can go up to half of that. So technically, if you get $500,000, your spouse can get $250,000. Of life insurance, assuming, of course, they are approved under underwriting. But those are some things I want to make sure you point out, that if you're looking at it, this is the best time to sign up for it, because you don't have those questions to answer with those guarantee issues.
Yeah.
And you'll see that same thing in all the other plans as well. Just keep that in mind. Guarantee issue is for all of us right now. Okay, doesn't mean you were just hired. Going forward, it will only be new hires. So if you don't elect this right now during open enrollment, you can elect it. You can call me up in September and say, hey, Joy, I want, $150,000 of that life insurance. I'll send you paperwork, and we'll send it into Guardian for your underwriting. Okay, so it doesn't mean you can't get it. You'll just have to go through underwriting later.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, since we've had Allstate for so many years, and a lot of you are on the life insurance, I just thank you for pointing all that out, because I just want to make sure we say it's new, but we didn't say in there that it's replacing what you have with Allstate. Okay, but we're excited that the rates came in a little bit less, even actually, and of course we got the guaranteed issue higher. So take advantage of it. One question I was going to ask is, will they see what they already have? Yes. So you'll see. Then that's the wonderful thing about the new enrollment platform, is you're going to see what you already have. If you want to keep it similar to that, then you just
That's the only exception to the benefits that we said we didn't roll anything forward this year. The only exception are the benefits that you need to have guaranteed issue on that you already had. So let's say you already had $300,000 coverage. Yeah. We did put that forward so you didn't have to go through and underwriting again this year.
So you'll see that with life, critical illness, the cancer, and the accidents, always guaranteed issue. What we just want y'all to understand is after May 1, the Allstate policies will stop. You'll get a letter from Allstate telling you that they've been discontinued. You've already been told that, but so it's just want y'all to understand. I don't want anybody to miss out. And guaranteed issue is always awesome. We don't ever want to have to answer medical questions if we don't have to.
And like I said, we mentioned the guarantee issue of the $150,000. But I said you don't have to get the full $150,000. Yeah. You just need something. So don't just say, well, I don't want to do the $150,000. So there are other options. You can get reduced options as well.
You'll see a drop down in your enrollment, just like you've seen before. It'll be in increments of $10,000 for the employee. So you can get $10,000 as the minimum you can get, and you'll see, how much that costs you. and then your spouse can get 50% of that. So the minimum your spouse can get is $5,000. I'm doing my math right here. And then your child is just a flat $10,000. There's not options for that, but it's, I think, 90 cents a week, so it's a great rate.
Yeah.
All right, any questions on the term life? Oh, all right.
Oh, and just real quick on this, you can actually do secondary beneficiaries. So you have your primary, you can also secondary, just to let you know. Short-term disability, long-term disability. You're not working, unforeseen sickness, unforeseen injuries. It's going to put you out of work for a period of time. This is what they call the paycheck protection here. So if you're out of work, it's going to be paid about 60% of your salary. You have your day one for injuries and also for 7 days for illness. Of course, your doctor signs off on your disability, so that's paperwork you would need to get in to get processed. It pays up to 13 weeks. Once you go past 13 weeks, what's going to happen? Your long-term kicks in. Is what they call it dovetails right into your long-term. And same thing, 60% of your salary. There are some maximums. It pays up to Social Security normal retirement age. It's like 65. Maybe the younger people might be 70. Who knows? But that says NRA. That's what that means. Social Security normal retirement age. Okay. So if you're not working because of a sickness or injury, the younger you are, the matter. I mean, things happen. Medical conditions pop up out of nowhere, put you out of work. Then what are you going to do? Okay. Do you have to get the short term without the long term, or can I get the long term without the short term? Yeah, you could do either or, but it's always best to at least do both. If you ask me personally, I'm a long-term guy. I have a spouse, so I'm able to get 3 months by my income. And then if something that's long-term, 1 or 2 years, long-term may be best suited for me. If it's just you, the only provider, maybe if you've got your emergency fund, savings account, you want to self-fund 3 months, you could do that as well. But then again, you could also ensure that with the short term, and also along with the long term. Okay. Any questions? Okay, great.
Also, real quick on the 401k plan, as I mentioned before during open enrollment, this isn't necessarily open enrollment for Transamerica for our 401k plan, but just kind of want to throw it in here as a reminder of all of our benefits available. Our 401k plan, you see your eligibility. It's an automatic enrollment of 2%. If you've never changed your contribution, you've never opted out, then you're doing 2%. Okay, and that means 2% of your pre-tax money is going into your 401k plan, and then RECON matches half of that. So you're getting 1% from RECON. Now, obviously, we encourage you to do as much as you can, or more than that if you can. RECON will match up to 3% total. So if you want to maximize that free money, because it's absolutely free money from RECON coming into your retirement account, then you want to do 6%, and RECON will max out at 3%. You can do 7%, and you'll still get 3%, but you'll get 3% free money. One thing we just started this past January for the first time is if you're automatic enrollment, you've never gone in, changed it, and then come back to 2%, but have always been automatic. Every January 1, you're going to automatically increase 1%. So some of you, if you've been you have to have been in the plan year for 1 full year. So if you've been here for a couple of years, you've never done anything with your contributions, January, you may or may not have felt an increase of 3% instead of 2% to your 401k. We did it in small increments, 1% increments, so it's usually not a big deal in your paycheck. But again, it's just continuing to help save.
Is there a cap on that?
I'm sorry, there is. It's 6%. So once you hit 6%, then the next year you're not going to go up anymore. You'll just stay at 6%.
When did this start?
January.
Of this year?
2017.
Okay.
So if you've never done anything, you're probably at 30%.
I've never messed with it, so I just.
Right.
No.
And of course, you can change that contribution at any time. The way you do that is you go to Transamerica's website, you log into your profile, and you can change it to a different percent or a dollar amount. If it's easier for you to keep track of dollars coming out of your paycheck instead of percentage, you can do that. And you can change it on a monthly basis. So anything requested by the 25th of the month, that's like the magic number 25. If you go in and change that by the 25th of the month, you'll see a change on your first paycheck of the following month. Okay? You'll see your maximums here. Different than when Brian was talking about HSAs, there's maximum on those. IRS maximums for your 401k means that's full money you can put in yourself. That has nothing to do with RECON's contribution. You can put up to $18,000 of your own money, or $24,000 if you're 50 or older this year. And then that, above and beyond that, is going to be RECON contribution. Make sense? All right. Back to who's it?
Okay, your cancer plan, these are all voluntary plans, okay, so it's, these are the benefits that help cover medical expenses that may not be covered under your medical plan, and when I mean that, it means like your deductibles and co-insurance, things of that nature. So if you're in a cancer plan, you have initial diagnosis for cancer, it'd pay you $5,000. This does not coordinate with the other plan that they had spoke about earlier under the MEC plan, so this is totally separate. So if you happen to have that and you have this, guess what? It'd be $5 paid on this, $5 paid on this other. You have $100 a day for up to $1,000 a month for experimental treatment. You have benefits paid. You have a high option and a basic option. You pay a little bit more for the high option, but the benefits go on the high option. You get $100 for cancer screening plus $100 for follow-up screening. ICU confinement is $600 for 45 days. So when you go online, you're going to see the benefit. You'll see option 1, and you'll also see option 2. So when you go down the list, it'll say not applicable, and then to the right, it'll show you a benefit. So that's the difference in pricing when you go down. So they mirror benefits all the way down, more or less, when you're going down to see the description. But when you see the ones on the right side that say on this side, that means the high options, you have more benefits that are added that are not on the basic option, which is option 1.
So guys, this Guardian was great about matching your cancer plan exactly, basically. They did add, though, the high option, the extra $100. So normally we go in, we get $100 back for one of our cancer screenings. It might be a PSA test for you guys, a colonoscopy, a female exam for your wife, mammogram and whatnot. We got the $100 screening back, but now you get a second one. So let's say I have a mammogram and there's a suspicious spot or whatever, and she has to go back and get another one. That's an additional $100. Okay.
That's $100 coming back to you. It's not, doesn't mean it costs you $100.
No, correct.
It's money coming back to you.
And the $600 a day for up to 45 days for the ICU confinement, same as the other plan, the other high plan. Remember, though, on the cancer plan, that's for any reason that you go to ICU. It may have nothing to do with the cancer diagnosis. So with your Ternian plan, he talked about, you know, the $5,000. Again, it's not a huge amount, and even if you choose, well, another, I'm thinking of the critical illness, but I mean, any amount helps, because if you're in a limited medical plan, your bills are going to be way more than $5,000, right? I mean, if you go through cancer and you start going through treatment, or next when we talk about critical illness, you have a heart attack or stroke, and you spend significant time in the hospital, it's going to get expensive. So, you know, take advantage of, you can double dip, as we say, you can take it from one plan and from the other. But they did a really good job of matching these plans, pretty much, yeah, as well as adding a little bit more.
Now, you will see a question. This is not guarantee issue, per se. There will be one question that has to be answered when you're going through the enrollment process, unless you say, I don't want this plan, and you check, you know, a decline, and you'll move to the next plan. But if you're interested in looking at it, it's going to ask you a question for you, your spouse, and your children. So just for one.
Have you ever been diagnosed with cancer, or in the last 5 years,
yeah.
I believe?
Yeah.
So please note, if you have Allstate's current cancer plan and it has to answer yes to that, this would be an automatic decline. Okay, we just want you to understand that. But you can still keep your cancer plan with Allstate. Again, when you get those letters, it's a portable benefit, just like these will be. So if you're in that situation, you're not, you know, out in the cold, you can just keep it, set it up on bank draft. The rate will be the same. Okay, so don't fear that you're going to lose something because you're not. Okay.
And also, just like if you happen to have a secondary cancer plan,
you can keep that too. Yeah.
They're both going to pay. There's
Yeah.
no coordination of benefits. You pay both. You file a claim. You file one here, then you have to file one over there as well. Okay, to receive the benefits. Anybody ever had an accident?
Oh, yeah, I have, and ain't nobody's ever paid me nothing for any of my shit.
You're one reason why we're moving.
Yeah, so if you do have any accidents, this is actually an on and off the job. It's an on off the job benefit. So, you know, you can claim it. Accidents on and off the job. And I always ask people if they ride motorcycles, not because you're going to get in an accident, but you know, you're kind of exposed to the elements out on the highway. And like I said, if you go through the detail, it breaks it all the way down from time in the hospital, fractures, concussions, ICU benefits. All these are in addition to anything else pays. Okay, so it's not going to coordinate with anything You have your benefits include $40,000 of loss of life due to limb due to the off-the-job accident. You have your benefits paid at ER, ICU, follow-up visits, like I mentioned, dislocations and fractures. You have $1,000 for initial hospital stays if you admit to the hospital, $1,000, okay? And all these benefits are going to pay you directly, okay? What do you mean directly? You file a claim, they send you a check, deposit the check in the bank, and you somehow look at your bills, you kind of analyze what you've got from the hospital. You're saying, well, do I want to pay them monthly benefit, or a monthly check to, to pay the expenses that I owe the hospital? Or do I take part of this money on my benefit and actually pay the hospital bill with that? And if there's a balance due later, then you just pay it later, okay? But these funds are not just used for medical expenses, they're also help you with your personal expenses as well. Okay, so you've got the check, and you're like, do I want to pay my truck or do I want to pay the hospital? I mean, I'm just saying you have that choice, or if you owe your son an Xbox, do I want to, can I buy this Xbox now? I mean, but literally, it's like I say, it's your benefit to do as you wish. It's always a guarantee issue, okay? And the high option, if you notice here, there's a disability option, on and off the job disability. Now, granted, if you took the short-term disability and you added the disability rider, which you're paying extra for the high option, okay, on the accident plan, they do both pay, okay? So, but this one has the other 60% of your income, this one is $250 per week. The double dipping word, if I says, well, can I do this and can I do that? Yeah, in this situation you can, because you have the benefit of the accident, disability rider, which is option 2, is the high option, and then you can also enroll in the short-term disability as well, so they would both pay, okay? And this one pays up to 26 weeks with no elimination period. That's on the high option.
All good?
Okay, the critical illness benefit, I know they mentioned on the other plan, this one here, it pays in several different categories, several different conditions. Employees now lump sum, $10,000 to $50,000 is the maximum. So if you have that heart attack, say the $5,000 on Ternian, also say if you had $50,000, pay $50 plus that $5, okay? I can mention it does not coordinate with any other plans. 50% of your spouses, they're elected, they can enroll in the coverage. So if you get 10, they can get 5, okay? There's also a $50 wellness screening benefit as well. So if you go in and you get a PSA test, as they mentioned, and you're on the cancer, that $100 is going to pay there. The $50 will also pay on this one as well. So that's a way of kind of recouping some of your premium, and also being covered at the same time. You do have childhood conditions, which include cerebral palsy, cystic fibrosis, Down syndrome, muscular dystrophy, spina bifida, and type 1 diabetes and more. This is based on diagnosis. You don't have to die from the condition. You just have to be diagnosed, and the benefits would be paid out to you, and then the lump sum. Okay, 10,000 up to 50,000. Okay.
And that's different, guys, because before, remember, you had a high-low option. It was 10 or 20,000. That was it. So that RECON decided to go ahead and let you guys pick, and as you do your drop down, it's going to show you exactly what the rate would be. Now, again, just like the life insurance, once you go over a guaranteed issue amount, you're going to answer medical questions. But the enrollment platform should prompt you immediately to answer those. So anyway, just wanted to point that out. And the childhood diseases, that was not covered on that. We didn't have anything that was specifically listed toward children and those diagnoses on the old cancer plan with Allstate. So that's a new benefit as well.
Then you have your employee guarantee issues, $20,000, and then the spouse for $10,000. Okay. If you want to do more, answer questions. If you want to say at the guarantee issue limit, it's $20,000 and $10,000. And there's also accident, critical illness, and the cancer plans are portable. So, and again, if you needed to take them with you, by all means you can.
Sherry?
Yeah. Yeah, so the Legal Shield plan is staying the same. I'm going to have some flyers out here I want to show you all. So I want to make sure if you have this plan that you're using it, okay? There's a mobile app that I don't know how many of you maybe should have had that out. That I don't know if many of you are actually utilizing it, but it puts just your legal service plan and your identity theft service plan right there at your fingertips. Okay, so, and now there's a feature that says SNAP for speeding tickets. If I get a ticket, I literally can hit that button, upload a picture of the ticket, type in the court date, and scan it to my law firm, Ross & Matthews, our Texas firm, or wherever you are out of state. but we always start with our state's provider firm. So the mobile app, I mean, everything's on an app these days, right? I mean, we forget our cards, we forget our, ID things, but you always pretty much have your phone. So I'm going to give you a flyer about downloading it. The benefits are the same as they have been. I always encourage everybody to have a will. Okay, it's super important to have a will. I know a lot of us don't get around to making it, but they make it easy for you. It's a 5-page questionnaire. It's no added cost. Okay, that's a huge value for you guys if you take advantage of it. If nothing else, bring it home to your wives. I can assure you as a wife that they would appreciate y'all having that done, and it's for you and your spouse at no added cost. Remember, we use the service for just everyday things, unlimited access, so we can call and say, I have an issue with the warranty company. My wife keeps calling about the dishwasher that's not repaired. They say it is. She says it's not. I need somebody to step in here. Or maybe you signed a lease agreement and they're not giving you back your security deposit. Or maybe you have a tax question. It's about to be tax time. Maybe you have a write-off or whatever the situation. Just call the law firm and ask them. Just ask them what your options are, what your legal rights are. If they feel like they can help you by sending a letter or making a phone call on your behalf, they'll do that. I've had this service for 9 years. I've called them a ton of times, and they have helped me be able to address things. Contracts and document reviews. We always want to send stuff in. We sign stuff all the time. But the problem is, and an attorney usually filled out that contract, right? They drew that contract up. The problem is it's not our attorney. We want our attorney to review it. It was somebody else's attorney that drew it up, right? We want to know what that fine print says. Again, the moving traffic violations on the app. Again, you can, with your app, you can call your law firm. You can address the tickets. It talks about preparing your will. You can contact member services and your 24-hour emergency access. This is really important, this red button here. If it's daytime or middle of the night, if you have a situation, and the 3 things that constitute an emergency, a legal emergency would be you've been in a wreck and somebody's been hurt, that you would want to call the emergency line. You're being stopped, questioned, or possibly detained. That's an emergency. With identity theft going on, sometimes people are stopped and the officer says, I've got a warrant for your arrest, and you say there's no way, because you had no idea that maybe somebody else had used your driver's license, gotten a DUI, or gotten tickets that they never even addressed. That's an emergency. If your kids are up in college or your kids live out of town, maybe they're in the car with somebody. A lot of people carry guns in their car nowadays. Well, if your teenager's driving your car, they're probably not licensed to have that. You might, I've had a situation where a young man, he borrowed dad's car, the guys were out late at night, they got stopped. He was the only one, because he called his father and his father said, call that emergency number, they got to go home that night. This is against the law to have a gun. It's just an accident, but it's a law. Another emergency I'll point out, this happened to us recently. We have a neighbor, sweet kid, or he always was, but mom and dad went out of town. They had this massive party. We're watching these kids, just over 100 of them going into the house. My husband, the next door neighbor, goes over there and says, y'all need to get out. This is crazy. It's gotten out of hand. As a courtesy, they didn't call the police on this kid because he said, please don't call the police. Well, that was a red flag, right? I'm going to have a party, Miss Jakey. Don't call the police, though. Long story short, one of the boys got real belligerent, right, that they said to get out. At 11:30, and the police had come finally. It was a big brouhaha. One of the boys came back and accused my next door neighbor of pulling a knife on him. He didn't have a knife, but he's active military. So with this kid making that accusation, I mean, my neighbor was a wreck for a week. They had to sign, my husband, he, and another neighbor had to sign an affidavit. The police, I mean, they separated us. I've never been in a situation like that. They're like, man, stay over here. That would have been an emergency. Had he had legal shield, or if I had my wits about me, I would have said, of course, it wouldn't have helped him because he wasn't a member, but that's an emergency. This kid was totally lying. He had nothing to lose, right? But my neighbor had everything to lose. And luckily it went away, but it took him a week to, sweating it out to figure that out. So those kind of situations happen. Uncontested separation, adoption, divorce, name change after 90 days of having the service. Now, you're going to re-elect this service if you choose to. You're not going to have an interruption, though, in your trial hours that accumulate every year, in your 90 days. You're not going to start all over. The one change, though, is that you're going to be able to have is you can choose individual coverage or family. In the past, it was always just the same rate, family. Okay, so if you are just a single person, no spouse, no children, then elect that, and it'll cost you a little less money, but you're not going to start over. The ID Shield plan, this is the same, although they've beefed up the monitoring. How many of you have an email address, or maybe you're on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter? Any of you guys do any of that? Your family, your kids? So now they do social media monitoring, because there's all kinds of, I mean, I know you laugh, it seems crazy, but people can discredit you. They can damage your name. Things can be, your name can be attached to certain things that could affect you when you go to maybe get a loan, when you're probably not applying for a job because you're already here, thank goodness. But these things matter, and we don't know about it until we're in that situation. So there's a lot more monitoring that they're going to do for us now. We have an app for that as well, the ID Shield app. So you log in, you make sure that you've put in all your information. If you guys have this service and you're not getting an email every month that says there was or was no activity on your account, you haven't logged in. So I'm going to give you what's called a quick start guide to make sure that you've gone to mylegalshield.com, myidshield.com. Don't be embarrassed. I did that for the first year and a half with my husband. I forgot. I thought it was we. It's not we. It's me and you and the kids. But everybody, you've got to put in the information so they can monitor it. They don't know your information.
And that'll roll over. I mean, we've already done it.
Yes, you're correct. If you're still an active member, you elected again, your Social Security is going to trigger Legal Shield to know, oh, she's already got this. It's not a new member. But I always point that out because so often we forget. We get it, and then we get the welcome email, and it's like, great, I have that now. But nobody goes in to actually activate. So I want to give you guys, I'll have these out if you want to grab one. And this is going to be on the enrollment platform, I believe. It's extra forms. But, yeah, you'll want to please be sure you've activated your membership, because one last thing I want to show you about, and this is on the app as well, is the member perks. Take advantage of this. Again, you have to go to mylegalshield.com, register. So when I pull up my app, a Legal Shield app, and I log in with that same login and password, now it's connecting me. It knows me. And I've got a button on my app that talks about member perks. These are hundreds of dollars of discounts, from electronics, sporting goods, apparel, rental. I mean, it's over 400 merchants that partner with Legal Shield to give us discounts. So take advantage of that. Let it pay for your membership. My savings easily pays for my membership monthly. I think that might be the last.
Yeah, the difference. You want to talk about that when we split now?
Yeah. Okay. Yes. So in the past too, I think it was to get the ID Shield, you had to get the Legal Shield as well. You don't have to do that. I don't want to force anybody to do. Sometimes people think that it's more important to have the ID Shield because you've been a victim of identity theft, and you understand what a nightmare that is, how time-consuming that can be. So you can choose either or both. And again, you're going to choose as an individual or a family. So for some, it's going to be a good savings. For others, it might be a dollar or so difference, that you'll see.
All right, let me touch real quick on this long-term care. You'll see at the bottom of the slide, it says that the enrollment won't take place until fall 2017. So this is kind of like the retirement plan. We're not going through enrollment for long-term care. You're going to see a screen during your enrollment process, just to give kind of a reminder of what this benefit is. But this is a little bit more complex benefit, and we picked it up just about a year or two ago. So we do a totally separate enrollment in the fall for this plan. This kind of talks about long-term care isn't just, a lot of us think about nursing home and older people, and if I get to be 90, I might end up in a nursing home and need long-term care. It can also apply to if you have an accident and you're not able to do your daily, what they call daily activities, and they have a whole list of things. But you could be young in an accident and then not be able to take care of yourself, bathing, walking, feeding yourself, those kind of things. So you end up in a rehab facility and have to go through rehab. If you have this plan, you'll get some benefit. So we'll talk more about long-term care after open enrollment, and so we can kind of focus on it individually. But I wanted you to be aware, again, this is another benefit that's offered to you by RECON, so just wanted to kind of put that in your mind as a reminder that that's available to you. This My RECON LTC is the website that you will go to in the fall to enroll. However, we have access to this all year long, 24/7, and it also allows us to get free caregiving information. So if you are a caregiver already, even if you don't have a long-term care plan, or if your parents or whoever else is in a nursing home or in a rehab, you can go and get free information on, they have information on Medicare, they have just all kinds of stuff, resources to help you walk through if you are a caregiver, find groups that are nearby, facilities that would be helpful. So that's another website that could be helpful to you if you're in that situation. Health Advocate, we've had this for a year. It's a free benefit. As you see up there, this is something that you'll see through your enrollment process. You're going to select it. It's available to everyone in your family. You don't have to have benefits in place to have this, but what this does is this is a person who you call in and talk to someone if you have questions on billing, if you have questions on a plan, you don't understand how your plan works. They'll help you schedule appointments. They work with the insurance company, so they're your go-between. A lot of times it gets very confusing when you get an explanation of benefits or you get a bill and you don't understand, why am I being billed like this? Instead of calling me, you have the ability to go to someone privately. It protects your confidentiality, your HIPAA rights, and it gets someone that can talk directly with the insurance company that will help you walk through any of these kind of questions that you have. If you want to find a provider and you can't get a hold of your, for whatever reason, BlueCross Blue Shield, you have Health Advocate first. Call them. They will, if you have questions on bills or claims, they'll have you fill out a HIPAA form, and then they'll go to work for you to help get those things settled. Free benefit. So make sure if you have questions like that, check out Health Advocate. And TeleDoc we've had for quite a few years as well. This is also free, covered by RECON for us. If you need, it's not for emergencies, but if you need to speak to a physician, whether it's at night or if you're at work and you don't want to take off to go see a doctor and you just don't feel good, you may have a sinus infection. I called them several times in January because it was just a crazy month of just not feeling well and congestion and that kind of thing. So I called them. They kind of gave me advice. You're talking to a board-certified physician, and so they can, if they feel it's appropriate, they can call in a prescription for you. You don't have to pay for the doctor's office visit. You don't have to pay to go to the doctor's office visit to get a script. They'll call it in, and then, of course, when you get there and pick it up at Walgreens or Walmart or wherever you pick up your prescription, you're going to pay for that. But everything else, as far as talking to the doctor, is free. If you just have questions, you don't necessarily feel bad, but you have questions about, I've heard about this vitamin, and I want to know, is this supplement, you think it's good. Whatever questions you have for a physician, you can call them, you can go online, or they do also video chat as well. You do want to register in advance, though, because if you are in a situation where you don't feel well, or if it's the weekend and you're out of town and you need to get a prescription, you have to have a health history filled out with them in place. So the best thing to do is to go, if you go back to your computer this evening or, back to your desk this afternoon, go ahead and get the registration done for you in an independent so that when you call in and you need the help, you can get that immediately. You don't have to walk through all these questions. Employee Assistance Program is another free benefit, so you're going to want to select that as well. This is a counseling service for any reason, whether it's financial or work-related or family, marriage, you have college kids and you have questions about them being away, whatever it is, just the whole gamut. You can call and speak to a counselor 24/7 every single day of the year. It's confidential. We don't get any records of who makes calls. We don't find out anything about the record keeping on that behalf, but for you and anyone that lives in your home. And it's unlimited phone calls, and they can refer you for up to 3 face-to-face visits if you request that. So that's another great benefit, the Employee Assistance Program. That's through Guardian. So we're getting to the end, I promise. We're getting really close to the end. Our benefits website, My RECON Benefits, this is where you're going to go to do your online enrollment this week or next week. And this is where you go any other time as well to view any of the benefit plans you have in place. Okay, so it's your go-to. Anytime you have a question on benefits, of course, you can call me, but this is available 24/7. And this is where you're going to go for enrollment. The Pocket Pal app is something we've had in place as well, kind of like what we've talked about with other individual providers. The Pocket Pal kind of compiles everything in one place. It's set up for RECON. And you'll see, I don't think it's on this slide, but on the benefits website and in the enrollment process, there's a company name. You're going to put in a company name when you get to Pocket Pal and register, and it will automatically download any of the information that you select for your benefits for May 1. If you register, it'll add in all the benefits. That's a new thing with our new enrollment system we're going to talk about in a minute. Used to, you'd have to go in and tell it, I selected the Ternian plan, I selected the low dental plan. It will now know exactly what you elected, so it's a very easy app. You can have all your ID cards in one place. You can put in your doctor, your physician information. You can, type it in there and say, like for instance, if I have to go and fill out information for my kids for school, I don't have to remember everything. I just have my phone and write in the doctor's information. You can scan or fax or email your ID cards directly to your physician if you're in the office and they need your ID cards. It's a great app. It's free, available on the App Store or the Google Play Store, called the Pocket Pal. And then a couple more things you'll see on the website. These are discount providers, kind of like what Sherry talked about with Legal Shield. There's a discount, the member perks. We also have a Tickets at Work that's free, that's on the website, listed under exclusive employee discounts. All kinds of stuff, shows, theaters, rental cars, hotels. If you go to New York and like Broadway, you can do Broadway shows, Cirque du Soleil, all kinds of AMC tickets. And they send out, if you register with them, they'll send you out a monthly bulletin of the specials for that month. And then you can also go to the website and see. We went to Orlando over Christmas, and I got into a couple of places discounted because we use Tickets at Work. It's totally free. You don't have to do anything. You just go see if there's a discount. You just get the discount. So it's a great deal. We have discount through La Quinta with RECON, and then CanCare too. CanCare is an organization we partner with, and what they do is help, what's the word I'm looking for? They partner someone who's going through cancer with a volunteer survivor who has been through the same type of cancer, same gender, same age range, so that you have someone you can talk to that's already been there, done that, and can help you walk through those really, really difficult times. They also help your family and partner them with people that they can talk to. It's, again, totally free. They're nonprofit, but they're a great benefit to have when you're going through those really, really tough times. If you know someone who is going through cancer, send them to CanCare. CanCare.org is their website, and so that they can get together with somebody who's been there. All right, so these are the two benefit guides. You've seen these in the past. This year they're electronic, as I mentioned. You're going to go, and if you're on the, again, if you're on the salary plan BlueCross Blue Shield, you'll click on the link that says BlueCross Blue Shield. Okay, the only difference in these two employee guides is the medical plan. Everything else in the entire guide is the same for everybody. So you're going to want to click on the correct link for your medical plan. And then when you go to the benefits website, we circled it in red. This is a new enrollment site that we have now. If you've been through Benefits Connect, you may not have known whether or not that's what it was called before. Benefits Passport is our new enrollment provider. Okay, so you've not logged into this website before, you've never been to this website, so you're a first-time user. And as I mentioned, you should have an email with your username and password. And this is where you go. When you get to My RECON Benefits, this is the landing page. You're going to go right here and enter your username and password and log in. Or first-time user, I guess you just enter your username there. But that's what will get you into the enrollment site. It's just a one-stop shop, okay? Once you do that, there is your username information. Used to be the first 6 letters of your last name. Now we made it a little bit easier so you don't have to keep track of how many letters you're entering. It's your entire last name, first initial of your first name, last 4 of your social. That's your username. It will always be your username. That will never change unless we switch providers again, and then probably change. But initial password, and everybody has an initial password. If you set one up before, this is a different website again. So it will be your social, no dashes, okay? So it's the last name, first initial, last 4 of social is your username, your password. When you get in there, it's going to prompt you to change your password to something that you want it to be. So pretty simple. Starting today, you can go online anytime between now and Friday, April 14th. Get it done before your taxes are due. And don't leave your benefits behind. Remember, if you don't select them, you're not going to have them May 1, okay? That's really, really, really critical that everybody hears that and understands that. one last thing we want to make sure you see, obviously, if you have questions, we'll talk about those. But during your enrollment, if you have questions, there is an email support information to Benefits Passport, which is our enrollment site, so they can help you walk through any techie issues you have, if you're having issues getting into the system. And there's also a call center, and it's a phone number that you can call if you don't have access to a computer or you can't get online for some reason. If you call them, they will walk you through the enrollment. If you call me, I'll say go to a library and find a computer, because I honestly can't handle 500 people asking me to do their enrollment, because I don't even get mine done in time. So I'm going to send you to this call center, but there is an option if you don't have access to a computer. You can always call in. They will help you walk through that enrollment system. Okay. Any questions? I know this has been long and really, really fun for me. But y'all have any questions right now that you can think of off the top of your head?
So we're getting a new bank card then, right? Is that what we were talking about earlier? That's what I was talking about, new card. I was talking about the bank card.
Oh, great question. Thank you for asking that. If you are on the HSA plan and you had the Optum Bank card, Optum Bank is staying the same. That account number stays the same. So thank you for bringing that up. The medical part of it will change to BlueCross, but your bank account will stay the same. So good, good. Thank you for bringing that up. Anyone else? You guys have been amazingly quiet and patient and hopefully still awake and listening, but thank you for your help and for coming to the meeting. Holler at me if you have any questions, and y'all have a great day.
Also, too, if there's anybody here that has any questions they didn't want to bring up in front of anybody else, we'll be around if you want to have something a little more personal.